Welcome to ShivShakti Yoga and Dance. Thank you for being here. Today is a special day for me because it's actually the 10-year anniversary, if you want to call that, since I got sick with the Epstein-Barr virus, of all things, after painting yellow fishes on a sidewalk in Mississauga for a company, Think Global Act Local event that I planned, and flying out to Istanbul and Greece and all the things that happened. But 10 years later, here I am. And what I would say with all of that, having developed into what is known as myalgic encephalomyelitis or chronic fatigue syndrome, with all the big names aside, that when I was experiencing it and what I went through having to deal with the fatigue and losing the energy and ability to do things that I would have been able to do before, like work or daily functioning or having to rest for most of the time, and not knowing or understanding why that was, and feeling like there wasn't really any foundation supporting me in being able to function, that you didn't understand why these crashes, things like that, that is very much so a pronounced symptom with what is chronic fatigue syndrome, and is heavily misunderstood by many, many people, the medical community, as well as others in our community, families, and institutions. And so it makes it really, really challenging. And that's why I really hoped that I would have the chance to make this video. I kind of hoped it would be in a way that felt better than this, but sometimes what you have to say is more important, that even if it can't be in the way you want to say it or in the way that you want to feel when you're saying it and how you dreamt that you would, the fact is you still are. And that's probably what counts. And so, that speech aside, what I wanted to say is that in March of 2015, 2014, no, 2015, I was starting to really go down that the first 6 months they were saying Epstein-Barr virus, infectious mononucleosis. If you are experiencing CFS or anything, myalgic encephalomyelitis, as they call it, ME, if you're experiencing that or any other chronic illness or anything, I guess, that you might be dealing with, they have, doesn't always, not that it doesn't matter, but that we're in it together in a sense, whatever it is that you might be experiencing, to know that in the beginning, when the doctors are saying one thing and it's not necessarily what's happening and why isn't it getting better, and having to deal with all the different specialists or all the different routes or avenues of trying to understand what's going on. And I was a young graduate, business school. I went to Schulich, one of the top business schools in Canada, and top student from before that, very active and very energetic, very, loving life, doing everything that a regular 22-year-old at the time would do. And I got this virus and sore throat and all these things that developed over the course of this trip. And then somehow this fatigue persisted, couldn't really go back, crashed, went to lower energy levels, was bedridden for a long amount of time, and then ended up in the hospital by the end of the year because the 6 months passed. It should get better after at least 6 months. This virus, this could last this long. And why isn't it getting better? And all of these issues, and the doctors not knowing and saying things like, you must forget what normal feels like. And that really resonated with me when one of the emergency doctors told me that, and all they're finding is dehydration. The test results, they're coming out normal. They can't seem to understand what's going on, yet seeing the symptoms in front of them. And what they told me, deconditioning at that time, and I was trying a reconditioning program. A friend of mine from like kindergarten, from elementary school, he was trying to help me. But as it was kind of you're doing it and then you're crashing, why is it that it's going down and you can't like you actually can't do the reps or the same exercises that you could have done the day before, and your body is weaker. And why is that? And that it takes a while to even be able to get back up, and you can't just push because you get even worse. I don't understand. And he tried to say, in a way, it's a bit of a teeter totter that we're dealing with because of what this is. But he was so determined to help me, and he did his very best. But I kept going down. I had love and support from those around me, and someone I was with that was with me through it all. But I kept going down and down and down, having to sleep for longer, having to rest for longer, not understanding what was happening, and trying meditation, trying different things, teas, and like, and just sitting in my room and everything that they're saying about meditation. I had tried a rehabilitation for myself, feeling like, taking care of my mind and body, tub soaks, maybe that it was just too much. I need to take care of myself. I did all those things and I'm trying everything, but it continues. It's like the floor falling out from underneath you, and you don't understand why. And you're this smart person that, is trying to understand, who only wants to do all the things that you had set out to do. I tried to move out, couldn't, I had to stay. Everything had to stay back that December. Now we're in March, trying to be in a relationship, difficulties even being together in that way, and what that felt like. And all these struggles that I was dealing with, just functioning, being able to read and being able to stay awake, being able to walk. Suddenly, the times are going down to minutes. It was half an hour, then now it's like 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And that was a big deal. To even like sit outside, that was also a big deal. I have to give up my car now, have to give up all the things with my work. It doesn't seem like I'm going back soon. Not understanding, dealing with insurance. There were all these issues. And so when you're in that place and the doctors are telling you things like join a tennis club or something, is what my family doctor said. And you're just, in that space and you're doing everything that you possibly can, but it seems like it's not in your control and that you're afraid. And I didn't know what was happening, and I was crashing further and further. I read about this, or at least heard about it, chronic fatigue syndrome. And this was the time when we actually realized, when I was reading it, that the exact symptoms that I was dealing with, the things that were happening, was what people were saying and how they said it could last so very long. I will say today is 10 years, and I've watched many videos of many people that have told their stories, and I didn't understand or couldn't comprehend what that might feel like, or what that would be like to be on the other end of that, saying things like, it took maybe 8 years and I'm better, but it's a more lifestyle shift. They would say those things, or they would say that, this is how long, but, this is where I am now, or still it might be some days, or, things like that, that they would say. I want to tell my own story. And the reason I want to is, at that very time, I heard someone speak in the midst of that, of trying to watch bits of a movie. I had a mind body rehab plan, and I was trying to watch my top 100 movies and do a puzzle at some point, um, and I think meditate and walk a little. And I had all this schedule, but I wasn't able to do it. That I kept crashing further and further, that I wasn't able to maintain that, and my level of energy continued to crash. I had friends that were saying that they just couldn't do it. they would come visit, but it's like they were saying they couldn't do it. They couldn't watch me. They were saying things about going to the gym, and I'm like, I can't go to the gym. And they start leaping off and saying, I'm not jumping off your I called it a roundabout, and I said those that really wanted to stay would stay with me and go all the way, but they kind of did. And again, that's another thing that a lot of people deal with. And in the midst of that and not understanding what's going on each day, I heard this woman speak in a video, and she spoke about having chronic fatigue syndrome and getting better from it. And she said that the way that what she experienced is that she said it's like your cup isn't full. And so, unless your cup is full, you can't give to anybody else. And you're always trying to do that, and you're depleting yourself. But until your cup is full, only then, only when that is overflowing, can you give to anybody else. And that she felt like she was overextending herself, and that you change these things and you can get better. I heard that video and it just changed everything for me. That I looked at it, the entire thing, in a different way, that I knew I could get better. And that's the story that I want to tell, that you can get better. And it may seem like that it seems so severe or so bad, but it doesn't mean you can't. And you know what? I have seen inspirational stories of people with chronic fatigue syndrome at the most severe level that transcended what that experience was, in the way that they chose to approach it. And so I just want to say, regardless of what, you can be free. And today, after 10 years and having been bedridden for a year of that, and having to rest for most of the day, of maybe for a few hours for the whole day, 2 or 3, and dealing with like a rollator instead of a wheelchair because that's what we were using. But I sat in a classroom today and I played this song, and I didn't mean to, but I just played it. It was something I used to play in the room when I was more able, especially at this time, to listen. I drink tea and I just listened, and it helped me. That I played that song and I did a breathing exercise with these grade ones, and I just only started volunteering there maybe a month ago. And as I was doing that and playing this song, I registered where I was. And before this, I was in business. I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go in my life, but things seemed always so busy. We're always giving of yourself in a sense, and not really knowing who I was, not really knowing where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. I always wanted to find it, but I couldn't be around kids the way that I am now. And I realized how much I love them. I couldn't be in teaching the way that I am now, even though I always wanted to do it, even though I was volunteering in it all the time. But suddenly I'm in a school, in a classroom, and I'm volunteering. I'm volunteering full time, 3 days a week for the full day. This is the first experience of doing something full time like that in all this time. I had started working part time in 2022, maybe like 2-3 days a week, teaching for a few hours. And as I've kind of gone along, this has been huge for me, of doing that, working part time on the other days, even an experience of like, even a full week of doing that. And those are full days. That's leaving home at 3, coming back at like 9:30. So, and being able to do that, I'm actually even going to start 5 days a week in a couple in a couple days, actually in May, and part-time. And I hope to do my Bachelor of Education in September. I got into York University. And I'm sure, even though it didn't work out in 2019, I got into U of T for the M team. I crashed and unfortunately couldn't do it, but that's okay. That's okay, because as we experience things, as we try, we all have our journeys. We all believe in what we believe in. I hoped that this is what I wanted. Maybe it could shift it, and maybe it wasn't what it was supposed to be at that time, but I've continued to build and I've continued to do so much. I've created this yoga studio. I've been doing all this work, and also in other areas, building up the foundation for myself, being able to do the chores, being able to cook. It started maybe like 2021. Being able to do that, being able to wake up a certain time, being able to go to sleep at a certain time. And maybe you can't do that right now, and that's okay. But I'm just expressing that it can happen. It did happen for me. And in the end, that isn't even what's important, but I'm just saying that for those that were like me that need to hear it. I'm teaching grade up to grade 8 math and English, and it's just coming to me despite the cognitive limitations that I experience. That on the spot I'm dealing with things that fractions and geometry and percent and exponents, bedmass, and and all kinds of English, like essay writing and all the grammatical forms and whatever it might be. And it's happening, and I'm helping, and I'm doing it, and it's coming. This is a miracle. I used to lie on a bed and talk to my naturopath who was trying to help me and figure it out, and we would deal with trying different supplements, different things. 5-HTP, I remember that helped me. Something she gave me. CoQ10, something to help with mitochondria. Trying to list every single symptom, trying to list every single thing. Can you help me? I went through that, and I'm telling you, I'm in a school and I'm about to do full day, full week, but 3 days full time, 2 days part time. It was literally 4 days for the past couple of weeks. Cooking on Sunday, cleaning on Saturday, my yoga every day for an hour, my meditation twice a day, waking up. I've been waking up. It's insane, which we might know is difficult in the mornings. 6 o'clock, 6:30, getting ready. I'm up till 11, sleeping next day. Yes, there are days. Yes, come back, sleep for a few hours. Yes, I've gotten sick a few times, dealing with the immune system. Yes, some of those days that I have the mornings, I need some time. Yeah, that's happening. But I also know that when I started working part-time at RG, where I was before, the next day I might be totally knocked out. But then as it kept going, I was more able. My boss was saying your face in the beginning looked like, woo. And then now you're much more able. You're much more present. It's happening. And again, I'm not trying to be like those people that say, oh, just do it. Just like push yourself. You'll be, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when you follow what you know in your system, in your body, the way that she said that, what is right for you, what you need, putting yourself first and listening to your body, asking your body, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? And you listen, you'll get an answer. How long do I need to rest? You'll get an answer. Can I walk right now? You'll get an answer. How long? You'll get an answer. You just ask. You try it right now. What does my body need? The leading doctor in Canada for chronic fatigue syndrome is the one who taught me this in Hope and Help for chronic fatigue syndrome, is ask your body. And so if we try right now, what do I need right now? Put your hand on your heart. Ask, what do I need right now? listen to that and you keep listening. That's what you do. You just keep listening every step of the way. And as you begin to come into who you are, when we align with our souls, energy happens naturally. When we go against the nature of our souls, and society teaches us, so many of us, to do that we get sick. So our body's telling us something, saying something's not right. It's like an alarm bell. It might start out as thoughts, it might start out as feelings, then it becomes more dense, can come into matter, becomes like an illness, something to tell you. There's books like from Louise Hay that tells you all the different illnesses and what it might, underneath what it might be telling you, what it means. There's ways to work through healing that. I've learned that on this journey. Maybe not everyone is always open to that, but I ask you, what are you not willing to do to get better? And the question is, do you want to be sick? Or do you want to be better? That's the question. And even in the state that I was in, no matter what state, no matter how bad it was, I never looked at myself like that. I never said no, that I couldn't get better. No, I never believed that. I never labeled myself as that. I was experiencing this, yes. This was happening, yes. But I am not that. I am not that illness. I am not that sickness. I am not that. That there's always a way. I believed that my whole life. And this was something I applied to this. And I am better. I did get better. You can get better. For that mom or dad with that child who's in the bed and you don't know what to do, I'm here saying that you can get better. They can get better. It is possible, and it happened. It happened for me. And just being able to say that is enough. And I know that because I was that person, and I had that mom, and I had that family, and we didn't know what to do. And I'm saying it can get better. There's many people that may not want to hear it, but you need to realize that there is more to life than just what the doctors might say, or just what seems to be happening on the surface, that we're human beings on a blue spinning planet in a massive cosmos, that, we got to be a little bit open to things. And I'm not saying that these things are not severe, or that, they're not a real thing. Yeah, they are. But so is this. You can get better. You can. And it's 10 years from that day. And what I can say of what I feel in this experience is that I would have never been this person if this didn't happen to me. I would not be in a classroom pursuing what I truly desired, to be a teacher, my whole life, really, since I was a child. I would not be there right now. I would not be teaching meditation and yoga to children and feeling the power of what that is and what it can do in this world. I would not be doing this right now either. In the midst of it, it's really hard to know that. And sometimes only the person themselves can know it when they hear it. That this isn't happening to punish you. That this is happening to give you an opportunity to become so much more than what you already are. And even if, regardless of how that manifests in your being, in how you experience what you're experiencing, regardless of that, you can be. I know that there are examples of this, whether it's Jessica, if you've seen Unrest, if you know Chronic Fatigue Syndrome, Netflix documentary, she's an example. There's also other examples. She wrote a book. She got married. She couldn't even leave her bed. She went down the aisle. She got married. She wrote a book. Somebody had helped her. She did. She did meditations, and she was lying down in that space where she couldn't really move from. And she imagined being in the sea or being in the cosmos. And you know what? Sometimes we don't want to hear that, but when you watch it, when you kind of know these stories, I have my own. I try to share them. I do that because I know I was that person, and I make an effort to share my story and share what I learned so that others out there can be inspired and know that it's possible. Because when you're in that room and when no one knows what's going on, you need to hear this, and you need to hear it from someone who experienced it and who went through it. I went to the top doctors that we have here, Women's College Hospital, Dr. Mala, Dr. Bested. I went to them. I was examined by them. They gave me their diagnoses. They gave me their prognosis. They gave me what they felt. It was optimistic. I was moderate, is what they called it. They explained to me, because I got sick pretty rapidly, and that within the first 3 years I started to improve, that I had very good chances. And because I was younger, I still went in there like with a wheelchair situation, although I could still walk, some can't, but I couldn't walk distance. It was too taxing for me to do that. So that's how I went there. And that's what they told me. They also told me about a book about 100,000 Swallows Can't Lie, something like that, Dr. Millett had written, and how everyone that was experiencing this, and how what the stigma and what was going on. I don't even know if the stigmas were denial, and what the same symptoms and exactly what was going on. And just because we didn't have an idea of what it was or a cure, it didn't mean that it's not a real thing. And the mitochondria not responding properly, that's what they knew about. But again, just what people have to deal with. And so I'm not trying to go against that from that base, to say that meditation helped me hugely. But what I find is that it changes you. It's not so much about how things present. And in some states, when we feel desperate too, we want certain results. And believe me, whatever you truly desire, whatever you feel, it will happen. You can make that happen. But I also want to say that I learned something. And it was that either you'll heal this and yeah, it goes away, or you transcend it and you're okay. There are some people that have come on this planet as saints or sages that come and uplift this world, even if it might be in a way like that. And I still feel personally just the way I feel, those that I've seen experiencing this, I've watched many videos, I've watched many things, that I really feel that in our collective, I believed if I could heal myself, that I could help all of those that are dealing with it heal themselves too. That was my dream, my goal, my desire. I may not have all the answers. I may not have everybody's story, but I do know that we are more than just this body, and we are more than just this mind. We are the soul. That is what I learned through this experience. And what we have come to do is very sacred and huge. And whatever that might be, and however that might look, know that what you're doing matters, but only if it aligns with you. If it's not feeling like this is not what it is, there is an answer, there is a way, and you keep searching, you keep seeking. If you are dealing with something and you know what you're dealing with is there, but you know what you're doing, I bow to you, first of all. I understand you, and you don't need me to tell you this. I just thank you for your presence on this earth, for what you do. Maybe you need to hear me tell you this, that I'm better now after 10 years of dealing with this illness. Thank you for all you've done, for all that you do. This may seem like one little story in something so massive, but I humble myself when I say that I experience chronic fatigue syndrome or myalgic encephalomyelitis, and I'm better now. These are gifts and opportunities to become all that we are, all that we can be, and it's our choice if we use it or not. So just make that choice and go all the way and know that you can, that I'm the person that says you can get better if you choose to and believe it.